Hi everyone, if you're new here, I'm Cheyenne with the Rosevine Cottage Girls, and I'm so glad to have you here with us today. If you are an old friend, welcome back. I'm so glad you joined us yet again. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you really enjoy your visit to our channel and you learn something that you've been needing and that you leave inspired. So fun story, this week we actually got a call from a very precious friend about taking some bottle babies. Her mama goat had just passed away and she already had bottle babies on her hands, and she just had her hands full and couldn't take on two more. So Monday morning, bright and early, we dropped by her farm and picked up two absolutely precious little baby goats. It's a boy and a girl this time. If you've been with us for a while, you probably remember back in January during one of the biggest winter storms that we've gotten here in Tennessee in a very long time. We were iced in for, oh goodness, probably a week. We had to park our cars at the bottom of the driveway. We could not get out. Even when the main roads are cleared, our road just does not get clear. It's a nightmare in the winter when we get these big storms. So, and we live on a giant hill. So it was just a mess. But we got a call during that winter storm that there were three babies that desperately needed to be taken in or they wouldn't make it through the night. So this year it apparently has been a very early kidding season for us, and lo and behold, none of the goats are from mine. So we are still waiting for my goats to have their babies. Whew, it's going to be a year. Good thing I like bottle babies. But this brought on, we should do a video on how to bottle feed your baby goats. If you are, for whatever reason, needing to supplemental feed, there's too many kids, or the mama rejects one, or hopefully you never experience this but you lose the mama, what do you do? Well, we're going to show you how we are taking care of these orphaned kids and helping them thrive. And so we wanted to bring you along and help you, set you up for success. Since we're already doing it, come with us and we'll show you some great tips to get kids to bottle feed. excuse the change of venue. We've got some really serious storms coming in, so I thought I'd relocate to the house and finish shooting this video before it's too loud to do it. It was getting really windy out there, the greenhouse was loud. So we are back in my office and we're going to talk about what we can feed our baby goats. This is a question we see a lot on Facebook, so we thought we'd address it first and foremost. So there are 3 options. The best thing you can feed your baby goats is always going to be goat's milk, but that isn't always an option. So this is goat's milk from our herd. This is not enough to feed 2 baby goats because again, we are at the end of our milking cycle. Actually, one of our girls is dried off. The other one we're not milking currently. She's weaning and working on weaning her kid, who, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, we're not currently milking either one of our goats, so this is the last of our goat's milk. So this will not always be an option for you, but if you can get your hands on fresh, raw goat milk, that is going to be the best thing you can feed your baby goats. Our next option, when goat milk is not available for whatever reason, you can buy kid milk replacer. You want to make sure it's made for goats. Other varieties can make your animals sick. You can even kill them depending on what it is. So this one is specifically for goat kids. This is great to have on hand for emergencies. We picked this up yesterday just to be safe. We had a little bit left from our last round of kids that we bought this for. And it's just nice to have on hand for backup solutions. Not everyone will recommend you use a milk replacer, and that's fine. You do what works best for your farm. I'm a firm believer in doing what works for you, and choosing the right thing for your unique situation. And not every solution fits all problems. So if this works for you, fabulous. All you're going to do is get some hot water, mix a scoop of it into the water. It's a pint and a half with a 4 ounces of milk replacer to a pint and a half of water. It's a great option if you're on the road or whatever and need to bring your kids with you for whatever reason. Life is busy. The third option is just regular whole milk. This is cow milk. It's the red cap, so you want to make sure it's whole milk. None of the strained off, whatever. Whole milk is the thing you want. Now, you can also make your own formula. I'll put a link in the description to some options for you. You can mix other things with this. I believe the recipe that I saw last called for condensed milk and buttermilk, if I'm not mistaken. That will add a little bit of sweetener because goat milk, it has a higher sugar content than cow milk, and if your goats have been on this, they can get constipated. That's another thing to watch out for. Either way, some people say that it can cause scours or diarrhea in your kids, which can also be overfeeding, or it can make them constipated. The same thing with this. You want to do, whatever you do, you want to transition slowly and carefully if you can. So if you're going to switch between, say, goat milk and you're running out and you need to switch, try to do it like you would dog food and introduce it slowly so you don't upset their stomachs. They're already under enough stress for whatever reason that you've needed to bottle feed. So move slowly. This is where what we ended up feeding our kids from January, and it worked really well. They're huge, and they really loved it. We did have one kid that came up with constipation, and my goat mentor, a sweet friend, was able to walk us through that with a little bit of Caro syrup before bottle feeding. So that is a great tip if you run into constipation. So those are the options. You can make your own formula replacers such as this, with some really nice ingredients. You can buy the powdered stuff, you can use whole cow milk, or you can go with goat milk if you have a source for it. It's not always the case, so it's nice to know what else you can use. The next thing you're going to need is a bottle. Now, soda bottles, just the plastic kind, work well. We had this on hand a couple years ago from an auction, and somehow or another it became our official kid feeding bottle. I love the weight to it, and you can't crush it down. There are some downsides to using glass on a farm, but this is what we had. That's the beauty of working with what you have, is you get to use it for unique situations. But a regular soda bottle will work just fine, and you're going to need a nipple to go on the top. Now, I love these because I can pop them on and off of any bottle with a narrow tip like this that I have. So if I'm using a soda bottle, I can pop this on. If I'm using this vintage Coke bottle, I can just slide it on and it fits perfectly. This is a kid lamb nipple. You can also buy the red rubber ones, which are, I believe, called Pritchard nipples. But I have always used this for our kids, and my kids love it. My girls. I've had some boys in there too. But this has always worked really well for us. You just will take scissors and clip the tip to allow it to pour out at a level which your kids are comfortable with. I've had some really small ones that just needed just a little bit at a time. I've had some that will gobble, words are hard, gobble the bottle down and need a much larger opening. So it just depends on how your kids are feeding. But nipples are important. You can get them from your local feed store. Tractor Supply carries them usually. I've had trouble finding them this year. Your farmer's co-op, any other store that carries farm supplies should have a goat section or a lamb section. You can check the calf section, but typically those are just way too large for your goats. So you can also find them on Amazon. I'll leave a link down in the description. Actually, the description has a whole link of resources for our animal keeping and goats. All right, we've got a goat section in our Amazon storefront with all of our favorite products, so you can peruse it at your leisure and you have it at your fingertips. But that's pretty much it for bottle feeding needs. How much you're going to feed your kids is greatly going to depend on your breed. Meat breeds eat much more. Nigerian dwarfs or small dwarf breeds like that are going to eat much less. This year we've never worked with full-size goats before this year, so this has been a bit of a learning curve. They eat much more than our Nigerians did, but that's fine. So you're just going to have to do some research on your specific breed. But a soda bottle usually is good for your goat size, for most goat sizes. So just your regular run-of-the-mill, single serving or double serving, whatever it is that you would get at a gas station, that will work perfectly. But do your research. It's going to greatly depend on your goat's weight and just how they're doing. But you want to be very careful to watch your goats and not overfeed, because that can cause just as much harm as good. Now, word to the wise, your goats are always going to act starving. Always. And you're going to feel very guilty when their bottle runs out and they're still wanting more. Don't listen to them. Trust your math. If you have figured out how much they need, don't overfeed them, because it can make them very sick and can even kill them. So you want their stomachs to be full but not hard, if that makes sense. But don't worry about it too much. If you can really tell a lot by keeping track of your baby goat's weight and adjusting as needed. So now that we've discussed what we feed our goats and the equipment you need, very important equipment, to feed your goats, let's get down to the nitty-gritty and get a little dirty and start bottle feeding, and then we'll talk about some tips for getting baby goats that do not want to take a bottle on a bottle. Let's get started. Okay, so this is one of our new babies that we've been working on getting on a bottle, and it tends to be quite a bit more tricky when they've been on their mama like she has, but with some work we have gotten her officially on. So you're going to want your bottles to be about 110 degrees when you feed them. That's formula, milk, whatever you're using. And you're just going to hold them. Traditionally I would be not sitting on the ground, but for the sake of the video, this was easier. Oh my goodness! You just kind of want to hold it firmly where they can get at it. The greenhouse makes a perfect spot on a chilly afternoon to bottle feed. And if you have trouble getting them to latch onto their bottle, you can try covering their eyes like that, or have a buddy help to reinforce so they can't jerk away from your bottle and then open their jaws manually and slip it in there. Honestly, the best solution is to let them get hungry, though I know that sounds cruel, and your heart is going to feel that a lot if you are extremely sensitive, but it does really help to make them work with you instead of fighting you to get on that bottle. There we go. Well done. No, your brother's turn now. That's it. That is how you bottle feed baby goats. The tail wiggle. Is that tasty? Need to check it. Hi. Oopsies. That is your brother's bottle. That's not yours. If you have any questions about how to bottle feed, drop them in the comments and we'll do our very best to answer them. Until next time, we'll see you at the cottage. Out. Okay, fine, you can stay. You can't hurt the baby. I'm trying to bottle feed. I'm sorry. It's counterproductive. Come here, baby. Come here. Alright.
You have the sharpest little teeth. Oh! Ah. You have little snaky, don't you? Thanks. Are you a vampire goat?